But once upon a time, way back in Albert Lea, Minnesota, there was a young boy named Eddie Cochran. Eddie Cochran was a very big thing in England, a lot bigger than he was here. Thus, that's why he was on tour. Wrote a song called 20 Flight Rock. I'll leave it there and pick it up in Liverpool, England, when John Lennon and his band and a bunch of school friends were doing a church fair. They were the only thing that the church could afford, and I think John said they got about 25 cents each. It was their first big job. In the crowd, there was a gentleman by the name of James McCartney, otherwise known as Paul, and he went backstage afterwards and impressed Lennon by being the only one there that knew how to play 20 Flight Rock, which was written by Eddie Cochran. So that was enough. Lennon asked Paul to join. Shortly after that, a couple months down the road, Paul got his friend George Harrison involved in the group. And then they needed a place to play. That's where Pete Best came in. Because Pete Best's mom owned a little place that she opened for the kids. She felt sorry for the kids because they had no place to go. So guess what? Pete sort of kind of played drums. And I say sort of, Merle and I had the opportunity to play for Pete in his group at the Mall of America. Nice guy, but you kind of wonder why there's two people playing drums when they're, but anyway, that's a long story. So, they went to get a lot of jobs at the Indira Club, I believe it was, they called it. Got good enough, they went over to Germany with their first manager, Alan Williams, who booked them at just a terrible place. They were sleeping after the shows in the toilets of a movie theater and cleaning up in the sinks there, etc., etc. Matter of fact, they were deported once because George Harrison was too young to get a work permit. And while there, they met a guy from Liverpool by the name of Tony Sheridan. I think Tony was from Liverpool or Woollerton, one of the two, who was signed to Polydor Records by a man by the name of Bert Kaempfert. And he said, well, I've got this band that can back me up. So Bert Kaempfert had them sign a contract. Strangely enough, it's John Lennon, George Harrison, and Paul McCartney, but nobody has ever really said who played drums on those sessions. So it's kind of, obviously it was not Pete Best. That much they have said. Which leads us to Brian Epstein. I'm jumping around because we want to get started with this, right? Okay. Brian Epstein owned a record store in his family's furniture store. Everybody bought their records in a furniture store, didn't they? Girl came in after seeing the Beatles at the Cavern and wanted a record called My Bonnie. Brian had never heard of it. Couldn't find it. That's because it was released as Tony Sheridan and the Beat Brothers. Got it? And we're going to do our version of it, just to kind of show you the very first thing that Brian heard from the Beatles. And we're going to do the slow beat. When they issued the single in the United States, they hacked the slow beginning off and it just went into it. But we're going to do the original thing. My Bonnie lies over the ocean. My